So how do you build a nation completely from scratch? Not with armies or politics, but with people. People who have only ever known slavery. Well, today we're going to deconstruct the blueprint, and we're finding it all in one single ancient chapter, Exodus 13.
Okay, let's just try to imagine this for a second. For 400 years, you and your ancestors have been in bondage. And then, suddenly, miraculously, you're free. What is your absolute first priority? Finding food? Water? A safe place to sleep? You know, the answer this chapter gives, well, it might just surprise you.
You see, the entire chapter is framed by this one really powerful idea, this freedom. It wasn't a political deal or some lucky break. It was a dramatic, divine act of liberation. And that one single fact, it becomes the absolute cornerstone of everything that comes next.
So you gotta understand, Exodus 13 isn't just a travelogue. It's not just a what happened next. It's literally a blueprint. It's laying out the instructions for how you forge a massive group of individuals who have only ever known being slaves into a single people with a shared identity. And this, right here, is the first big surprise. Before they even take a single step towards a new land, the very first command they get isn't about logistics or directions. It's about memory. So the first pillar of this new nation is a shared story. Think about that. Before they can even have a future together, they all have to agree on their past. This isn't just history class. This is the very foundation of their new identity. And Moses makes it crystal clear. This specific day, the day they walked out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, that has to be the central point of their collective memory. Everything they are and everything they're gonna become is built on remembering this exact moment of freedom.
But here's the thing, right? An abstract memory, just a story, it can fade. It can get fuzzy over the generations. So how do you make sure this foundational story isn't forgotten? Well, you have to make it physical. You have to build it right into the rhythm of everyday life. And that brings us to the second pillar, ritual. The text lays out these really specific, repeated actions that are designed to make the story of the Exodus a lived experience, not just some old tale that you tell. And just look at how practical these rituals are. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, that's a physical reminder of how fast they had to escape. They literally couldn't even wait for their dough to rise. And the sanctification of the firstborn, that connects directly back to the final plague, the one that finally secured their freedom. This is how you embed memory into food and family life. And this part is just brilliant. It shows you the whole point. These rituals are designed to be a catalyst for education. They're meant to be a little strange, a little different, so that kids will inevitably see what's happening and ask that crucial question. Hey, why are we doing this?
What's amazing is the text gives you the script. The ritual creates the question, and the question creates the perfect moment to retell the foundational story. Every single family becomes a classroom, and every parent becomes a teacher, making sure that memory of liberation gets passed down generation after generation.
Okay, so they've got their memory, and they've got their rituals to keep it alive. With those foundations set, the physical journey can finally begin. But just like their first priority was a little unexpected, so was the first step of their actual journey.
So once Pharaoh finally lets them go, they don't take the fastest or most direct route. Nope. The text says God leads them on a big detour through the wilderness, basically to protect this brand new, vulnerable people from getting into a war right away. And get this detail. Moses is carrying Joseph's bones with them. It's this powerful symbol of a promise that was made hundreds of years ago finally being kept.
I mean, can you imagine a detour into a vast, completely unmarked wilderness? It's daunting. It's terrifying. They have their story and their ritual, sure, but they have no map. They need a guide, something constant and visible to let them know they're actually on the right path. And what they're given is, well, it's basically a divine GPS. The text describes this pillar of cloud that leads them during the day, giving them direction and probably some much-needed shade. And then at night, it transforms into a pillar of fire, giving them light and warmth. We're talking 24/7 guidance. And the final verse of the chapter really drives this home. The pillar never left. This isn't just about directions anymore. For a people stepping out of centuries of oppression into a scary unknown, that constant, visible sign that they weren't alone, that was everything. All right, so let's pull all of this together. What Exodus 13 gives us is this remarkably complete blueprint for building a nation from the ground up, and it's all built on 3
absolutely essential pillars.
First, you have a shared memory, the story of we were slaves and now we are free. Second, you have tangible rituals that bake that memory into everyday life and make sure it gets passed on. And third, you have visible guidance, a constant reassurance that you're not alone and you're headed in the right direction. It's this powerful mix of looking back, acting in the present, and trusting the path forward.
And that really just leaves us with a final thought. This ancient text gives us a formula for how identity is forged. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the core stories we tell ourselves today about who we are? And what are the rituals, big or small, that we use to make absolutely sure those stories are never forgotten?